It's time for Chad and Wes Watch a Trailer.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Chad and Wes Watch a Trailer. This is Wes.
And this is Chad. I'm not going into the thing I did last time.
So we're trying to
this is take
magic.
2 of this one.
Yep. For some reason, our device ran out of space, and for some reason, it's because it had a lot of stuff on there.
It's because we've never deleted anything, apparently, Wes.
Whatever.
That's not exactly accurate, but there were a lot of things that needed to be deleted. So, tell me, Wes, why are we here still doing this? If you can't tell, I'm wearing the same shirt as our last episode because this is directly after that. Not directly now, I guess, because we just mistakenly tried
to... drinks?
Well, we did. We made drinks. We also tried to start recording this, and then we stopped. But what are we doing here, Wes?
We are going to be watching, if you can't tell from the title of the video, Marvel's Daredevil Season 2 Trailer Part 1 from Netflix. I'm tired. I need a drink.
It is pretty late. So yes, we're going to watch the new Part 1 of the trailer for the Netflix show Daredevil, which, by the way, is awesome. Like, at least from Season 1 perspective, Daredevil is incredible. Like, maybe one of my favorite TV shows of superhero things that's out there right now. It was pretty awesome.
Absolutely. It really, like, I feel like people use the word transcend so much, but I mean, really, it transcends all other superhero shows. And I think, and we'll talk about this some more later, but part of it was because it doesn't feel like a superhero show that much. And they don't even get a whole lot into like his superhuman senses and things like that.
Well, and he is a street level hero. He's not a superhero. He does have heightened senses. Yep. And as a result of the chemical spill, and also heightened senses from being blind or whatever you want to say, but he is not like on the level of superheroes that are out there, better than Batman, but not as good as Superman.
Well, first of all, nobody's as good as Superman because he's
Superman.
The best,
and he's a different universe, but whatever.
Yeah. But I mean, this guy is still a superhero, just like Jessica Jones was a superhero.
Jessica Jones is like more super to me, because she's got super strength, all these other things. Like, he can hear really well. Granted, that's, I guess, a superpower, but he doesn't like, with his physical abilities, doesn't really go over and top.
But I think if you're going to pick an ability and it's going to be heightened, I think his sense of hearing is just as heightened as her sense of strength is.
Is strength a sense?
Whatever. You know what I mean. You're just upset because I backed you into a corner.
Listen, nobody backs baby into a corner. Anyway, right. So I'm not saying anything. Like, once again, I love this show, but I don't see him as this superhero. He gets his ass kicked a lot, in the first season.
Superheroes get their ass kicked a lot.
But like,
Superman gets his ass kicked a lot.
Anybody that has kryptonite.
Or magic. Or Darkseid. I mean, there are lots of people that can take down any of the heroes on a day-to-day basis.
But they're not just street thugs. Daredevil got his ass handed to him by street thugs.
So I was going to say Batman, but I do not want to open up that can of worms. Anyways, I think the point is that...
My point is, you're wrong.
He's a superhero.
He is. Like I said, he has superpowers, but it's not on the level of what you traditionally think of as a superhero.
Regardless of all that, I think the point we're trying to make is that...
We're not even going to get to this trailer. We're just going to debate this point all night.
Punch Chad in the face. The first season of this just really doesn't feel like a hero show, or like a superhero show. It seems like a guy just puts on a suit and goes out and fights bad guys. And you almost forget about the abilities that he has, other than just him being, great at whatever, martial arts he has and things like that. So, but here we are on to season 2.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. If you have not watched season 1,
go see it.
Stop this, go watch it. It's like 12 episodes, all on Netflix. You can just watch them back to back. Take you half the day, and it'll be well worth it. Yeah.
I'm going to guess we're going to spoil things, so yeah.
Yeah.
Do that.
Absolutely.
We will spoil things from season 1, I guess.
Probably. Anyway, so here we go. You can find this on the Netflix YouTube account, and it's just Daredevil Season 2 official trailer. So
Part 1.
We'll talk about that here in a little bit, what that means. So here we go. Again, you can probably find it, hopefully, in this area. Maybe I'm holding the video. Maybe I'm not. Maybe it's not there yet. I don't know.
I guarantee you, every time you put your hand up, I'm going to make sure it's not where your hand is. It's going to be right over your face.
Oh, God. All right, so here we go. Chad, you want to count us down?
Sure. 1 to... I should go from 3 to 1, shouldn't I?
Tops to bottoms.
All right. 3, 2, 1, play.
One badge. Batman?
Yeah, right.
One badge.
2 badge.
Oh. So, he's counting badges, right? He said 1 badge, 2 badge.
Did you not? God.
What?
He's reading the book. Did you not see the kid's book?
No, I didn't see it.
God. There's a children's book that shows like the very first frame, and it says 1 batch, 2 batch.
Oh, okay. But anyway, this is obviously Punisher that they're talking about here. I'm excited about that.
Right. Even though I don't think they call him Punisher in the trailer.
And I wonder if they're even going to call him that until like the very end. Because season 1, he wasn't Daredevil till the very end, right?
Right.
And there's such a difference in those two people, the two heroes. And they're obviously highlighting that. And I love that it's him! Because you already kind of hate him.
From The Walking Dead.
From The Walking Dead.
All of us. There's no connection. We never stopped to think that Daredevil's actions could open the door for men like this.
There's the skull.
Yeah, the skull. Yeah. Obviously.
So Foggy knows that he's Daredevil, but Karen doesn't know, right?
I thought she did, but I could be wrong. I need to watch it again.
Yeah, I need to watch the whole season again.
People don't have to die. You hit them and they get back up. I hit them and they stay down. Why are you doing this? Because I think you're a half measure.
It's the argument against Batman. That he's half measure. I love that line.
Yeah. They'll use that clip a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, it was something else.
Yep. What? And in honor of Elektra, you see right here. This is the only thing I could find that was Daredevil related in my house. I have the size laid out on the table.
Yeah, it's I'm assuming maybe trailer 2 is going to be all about Elektra.
It seems to be what they're alluding to there is that, they say that it's part 1 right when they show her. And so, part 2 must be kind of the same thing, but instead of highlighting the Punisher, they're going to highlight Elektra.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. I mean, we obviously on the first season, you see a total of like 5 minutes of him in costume. In his actual Daredevil suit.
Right.
Whereas, this season we're going to have a costume the entire time. Who knows whether or not it'll be the same one from the beginning or the same one from last season.
Right.
I couldn't really tell. It looked like it was slightly different.
I would think that he would be iterating it because it's still the first pass at his actual, like, put together super suit or hero suit.
Well, and I'm curious, like, when does this take place? Like, how far after season 1 is it been a year? How long has he been doing this?
Right, yeah. Because obviously they talk a little bit about his girlfriend. I don't remember what her name is, but she talks about how, we never stopped to think if, the Daredevil was going to, what the consequences were going to be. So for there to be consequences, some time would have had to have passed. It's not like, the Daredevil's out there the next day, Punisher's all of a sudden out there. Oh, this must be related. For there to be a correlation that she'd want to draw, I would think that time had passed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would think at least a little bit of time. And I think it's interesting that, like, with so many different things, you've got a hero who won't kill and a hero who says, I have to kill. So, it's not quite like the same argument that Batman and Superman are having because neither one of them want to kill. But it's the same argument that, like, you hear a lot, but it's...
That's not what I meant by Batman. That's what you hear about Batman. That's what you hear about Batman from some of his villains who say that they're just being him, but to a full degree. And he's fighting against them, saying, "No, you can't kill. That's not what you're supposed to do."
Oh yeah, there's been plenty of Batman villains that are, foils of him, just to a degree that, they're willing to kill and he's not. So, yeah, I mean, I catch your point.
Yeah.
A little disappointed that, and I didn't think he was going to be back, but I really wanted Wilson Fisk to be back, Vincent D'Onofrio. I mean, because he was probably one of, if not the best part of season 1.
He was incredible as Kingpin, but I think it's good that he's at least not going to be featured right away. I think they need to give these other people and characters time to develop. I think that his performance and him being there would totally pull away from them being able to establish whatever they're going to establish with Punisher.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to run into a habit of, like, that's the only villain he faces, or he's behind it. You don't want him to be Hydra.
Yeah, I was going to say, all of a sudden, he is the Hydra of the Daredevil universe.
You find out Wilson Fisk was actually working for Hydra in the first season.
For all the people listening, I just did the shoot myself in the head motion.
The one thing I'm curious about is...
I hate being on video. I have to explain myself.
No, you don't have to. Watch it on YouTube.
And keep downloading.
Yeah.
Watch it at all the places.
Do all the things. But I wonder, like, who is the villain going to be? Because I don't think ultimately Punisher is not going to end up being the villain.
Yeah, I mean... He's going to start off as the villain.
Oh, yeah. It'll be...
They're going to start with him being the focus
It'll
of
be
it,
just like, Batman and Superman. There's a misunderstanding. They get together. They fight it out.
I don't know how much there's a misunderstanding. I think there's just a difference in approach. Because the Punisher, it's not a misunderstanding. No, he kills fools. And he believes that's the way to do it.
Right.
I mean, that's one of the things when I think about, people's big deal they made about Deadpool being an R-rated superhero movie and stuff like that. Well, you look back at the Punisher movies, although they weren't great movies, there was lots of violence in them and stuff like that. And if they were to do a Punisher movie and do it right, because I don't feel like the Punisher movies that have been out there have been that great so far.
Yeah.
If they were to do one and do it right, it would be another one like Deadpool where it was a hard R.
Yeah. The only difference with Punisher is, like, there is no laughing. Like,
there is no laughter. Also, man, think about werewolf, Wolverine and Punisher
werewolf
combination, like crossover.
Dude, I would love for them to do that.
That would be incredible. But Punisher would be in the MCU.
Yep.
Whereas Wolverine is not at this point, since he's a mutant. Yep. So we wouldn't see that.
Well, and apparently we'll probably never see Wolverine in the MCU, I would guess, because Hugh Jackman said that he's not going to play him anymore after the next movie.
They just change actors. They've done that so many times. They did it in the MCU already.
They have, but I know at least the people who've been involved with him up to this point said that they can't see anyone else playing Wolverine at this point since he's done it so much.
Whatever. I hope they don't let that limit them because I love Wolverine. And I really want to see him continue to be a character in movies, but whatever.
Yeah, but... Anyways, Daredevil.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever, man. We're talking about the MCU in general.
Yeah. I love that Netflix does this deal where they just release everything at once. Like, hey, here's the entire season. Just take it all in. View it as like one 12-hour movie. You don't have to wait week to week, or in some cases, 4 weeks at a time to catch everything. Well,
and every time we've talked about this with a Netflix series, I think I've brought up that they actually did a study that shows when people are able to binge watch a show, they get more addicted to it. I don't know, they don't use the word addicted, but they get more into it.
Right.
Because it takes usually about 4 episodes for someone to really get hooked into a TV show. If that 4 episodes is spread out over a month, they're less likely to watch that 4th episode.
Right.
If they can sit down and in a matter of a couple days maybe, or like us, in one sitting, will watch those 4 episodes, they're more likely to be a loyal, watcher of that show.
Right.
And so that's why when they first did it, I think it was HBO was raising a big stink about them doing it that way, saying, "Oh, this is the wrong way to do it. They're going to fail." They'd like put out stuff about this, and Netflix is like, "Nope. We think based on our data, when we watch what people are watching on our service, the way to do it is all at once." And sure enough, people are addicted to Netflix stuff.
Well, and it makes sense because, like, when you look at
don't play footsie with me.
I will do it if I want to. Put your feet back down there.
Okay.
When you look at, like, watching a show, the pilot is normally the highest viewed show, but it's normally not the highest rated show or, like, episode of the show. So, like you said, it normally takes people a couple of viewings to really get into the meat and the, the feel of the show. Just like with most things, the writers, the actors, all the people are not going to, really find their groove until they're into it a little bit. So most people, they watch a pilot. If you've got to wait another week or two before the next episode comes, you're going to be like, and you're going to forget about it, and you're going to just kind of fall off. Whereas if you watch the first one, it's like, well, it's pretty good, but I'm interested to see what happens to see if I end up liking it. And then you immediately press play on episode 2, it's going to grab you a little bit more. And so, like you said, you're going to get to episode 3, and then by episode 4, you're, hey, I'm into this. Like, I want to find out what happens, and then you just watch the whole thing.
Well, I think that you bring up a good point. And to me, I look at it as there's the human aspect of the viewer and what it takes to get into a show. Then there is, from like a writing standpoint and the producing standpoint, where the pilot has to like kind of cover a lot of bases and do a lot of things, like introduce characters, do all these things, where they're not getting into the meat of the story. They can't do that until they've really established their universe, as it were.
Yeah.
So, I think that's another reason why you don't see as much success right off the bat with shows, and, they don't get higher rated until later on in the series, because at that point, they're actually able to focus on the story of that episode. Whereas the first episode, they're trying to have a story, but they're also trying to just say, hey, this is what this show's about.
This is how they got to this point, and, they don't necessarily have to tell the whole backstory, but they've got to at least tell a few things to kind of explain, like, where they are starting out and, like, what all that means. And you're right, and that takes some time, especially if you've got a large ensemble cast. I mean, like, you look at Daredevil.
I believe it's pronounced ensemble.
Ensemble. Ensemble.
Ensemble. Just puke it out there.
If you don't do your hand while you're doing it.
Ensemble. The bleh is the important part.
And your lips have to go a little bit.
Nonsense, brought to you by Chad and Wess.
And Chad and Wess talk about nothing. Literally nothing.
You want content? You go to a different podcast.
I can recommend some, but it is not here, my friend.
If I were to recommend one, that would be content. So I'm not going to recommend one. Anyway, back to the subject at hand. I am so excited for this. What did we see in this trailer? Really, to me, this trailer was introducing Daredevil, Punisher.
Yes.
This was all about Punisher.
Yeah. So to the uneducated viewer who doesn't know anything about Punisher or anything like that, they didn't give a whole lot away. There are a few hints that, like, okay, maybe it has. I think maybe he mentioned something about his family at some point, but he doesn't go into detail about, like,
the very first shot is a picture of his family, right?
Yeah.
So that's where you saw the book. I was focused on the picture of the family, and I'm like, that was the first thing when it came out. I'm like, wait a minute, is this? Oh my God, it's Punisher. And I think we maybe knew this before that Punisher was going to be in this, but I had forgotten.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had forgotten that, what this season was even about, and then I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think you got to see a little bit of setting up his character, which, when you look at, like, all the different heroes and things like that, which Punisher is a hero, he has no superpowers. But when you look at, like, these group of characters, like Batman, it sucks because you're a little kid and your parents get shot, but you have the opportunity to grow and move past it. He just doesn't.
Right.
But when you're a grown man,
grown-ass man,
and your wife and your children are murdered, like, in front of you, like, that's probably one of the emotional, like, gut-wrenching things, like, out of any of the heroes, like, you can probably relate to. Like, Superman, it sucks. Yeah, your entire planet got destroyed, but you didn't know it.
Yeah.
But for this guy, for his own wife and children to get murdered, and, like, to know it, and I don't know if he was, like, there to watch it happen, but that's a rough thing to go through.
Right.
And so you can at least connect with him on that level.
I think traditionally from
a
origin standpoint, he is there. Like, the whole point is the corrupt cop / mob boss that takes down his family does it in his face. Like, they take him, beat him up, disable him to the point where he can't do anything about it, and then kill them in his presence. They think they also kill him and leave him for dead, and then, of course, he comes back as the Punisher.
Yeah. But with all that, like, you can start to understand, like, why he does this.
Absolutely. I mean, it's understandable from a human standpoint why he would do what he does.
Right. But then you look at, like, something like Daredevil, and it's like, well, did he, like, why is he Daredevil? Because he's blind and he had nothing else to do? Like, there are...
Justice!
Well, pretty much. There are various things that led to that, and I like the fact that they keep playing off of this. There's this Catholic guilt laying onto him, and he's talking to the priest, and he's like, why don't I feel closure? Like, I did what I set out to do. I shut down the Kingpin, and I put all them away. Why don't I still feel closure? And the priest is like, because you have more to do. Like, there's more to you than that. So I like the fact they're going to be exploring that some more, and not just being this, he's not a one-dimensional superhero now, which would be easy for them to kind of, like, make him go into. But now he's like, well, he still has growth to do. He still has some things to discover.
He has no depth perception. He's a no-dimensional superhero. Cheesy jokes brought to you by Chad of Chad and Wess.
I don't want my name associated with that. Please take it out.
Not taking it out.
Okay.
Anyway, so what else did we see in this trailer? Like, the problem is now we've talked about all this other stuff, and I forget what happened in the trailer. Let's watch it again.
Yeah.
No.
So you saw some more with and you talk about this a little bit with Karen, and she's talking about like the repercussions of Daredevil,
right.
Which is. And I don't, who knows who made the argument first, but it's the argument here most normally associated with Batman. So if there was no Batman, would there be no Joker? Would there be no Scarecrow?
Right. Are the villains rising to the level of the heroes?
Right.
Or are the heroes rising to the level of the villains?
Yeah.
What, chicken or the egg? That's basically what this trope is within superheroes. Is it the hero's fault that there are the supervillains, or are the superheroes there responding to the need?
And with this, so Karen brings up that point. She's like, we didn't stop to think about what Daredevil would mean for us, like what would happen. And so, who knows if she's talking about Punisher, if she's talking about someone else, but she's right. And what we saw in the first season, there are more things out there that he left loose ends with. The Hand is one thing, and I've learned more about it just from listening to some other podcasts and reading a little bit about it. But like the Red Ninja from season 1 is part of a greater organization called the Hand, which has some mystical things, and I think maybe even gets over into like Doctor Strange territory.
Huh.
But Madame Gao, I think maybe was a part of it or something. But so there are more things out there that tie into the Daredevil universe they haven't touched on yet, besides just the Kingpin and Elektra and the Punisher.
Well, another thing is you got to remember that they're tying all of this into eventually the Defenders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we've now had the second Defender that gets their own show, have their show. Jessica Jones, there we go. So this is the second season of the first person that got his own show.
Yep.
Eventually we're going to get a standalone series for Luke Cage.
Who we've met, we just haven't seen him as his own show.
From my understanding, Iron Fist, they haven't announced that he gets his own show yet, right? He's just going to be introduced somehow, and he's going to be in the Defenders.
Right. They've announced, I think, some of the showrunners for it, but they haven't announced who's going to be playing him. I'm assuming they're waiting to announce him whenever they start to announce Luke Cage Season 1, because theoretically he's going to show up in that season.
Right. So,
which makes sense.
Right. It'll be interesting to see, first of all, in this season, are we going to see some Luke Cage, or are we going to see some Jessica Jones in this? Because they've now been introduced. We know that they're going to be in the same universe. We know they're going to be tied together eventually in Defenders. So are we going to at least get an episode where they make a cameo or something like that? I love to see them how they're going to build out that whole Defender storyline. Yeah. Also, what is Punisher's role going to be in the greater kind of Defenders street level MCU?
Well, the biggest rumor now is that the Punisher is going to get his own show. Is that he's maybe not going to play into the Defenders.
I'll tell you, that guy deserves his own show.
Oh yeah.
I mean, obviously, they kept his character around too long in the Walking Dead. Just from a comic book standpoint, it bugged me a little bit that he was around as long as he was. Oh, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched The Walking Dead, he dies. Anyway, yeah. But I feel like they kept him around too long, but they kept him around because he was so popular and he did such a good job. So, like, just if I didn't know the comics, I would have been fine with how long they kept him around. And I think that he did a great job, and I'm excited to see more of him. I'm excited that he's going to be a character that should not die off. In any means. I mean, they can do whatever they want. They can say, "Oh nope, we're killing him off in the first season he shows up in." But I don't think they're going to. And I think it'd be great for him to get his own show and see more of him in this. I think that he's going to make a great Punisher.
Yeah. Well, and you talked about like the interconnectedness of the universe and everything, and I'm curious how much they explore, because we saw that Rosario Dawson's character, Claire Temple, is back, the nurse. And so she met Jessica Jones in the last season.
Yep.
And so
she alluded to Daredevil in that.
Yeah, she was like, hey, I'll call him right now and have him come help you. So does now she tell Daredevil at some point, like, hey, and maybe it's the very last episode of the final scene or something, like, hey, we haven't had a chance to talk, but you need to know that there are other people out there like you who are trying to do this stuff.
Because they left on not the greatest terms at the end of the last season, right?
Oh, yeah, right.
So there's a chance that we don't see her in the next season until the very end.
Yeah.
And then it could be that tie-in. Okay, how are we going to tie these characters together? It's going to be her coming back and saying, hey, I need to talk to you about this.
There was one shot in the trailer of her talking to, I think, Foggy. So theoretically, she's in the season to some degree.
Sure. Well, that's what I meant, is we don't know where in the season that scene lied lippy down. Lam lam lippy doo. More nonsense brought to you by Chad.
I'm going to make the Lipidow sound as like my text tone or something.
Hashtag Lipidow.
Oh my God. If I wake up in the morning and hashtag Lipidow is a thing.
Oh, it'd make me so happy. Except for in the morning, I don't know if it'll be posted by then. I have a whole other episode to freaking get video edited first.
Good work, son.
Oh, man. Anyway, thanks for giving me a lot to do tonight.
No problem. But yeah, so probably the other big thing in the trailer we haven't talked about is the very final shot, which is Elektra.
Well, I mean, we talked about Elektra in general and how we think that she's going to be the next trailer, what part 2 is going to be. I know nothing about that actress. Has she been in anything? Do you know these things more than I do?
If she has been in something, which I'm sure she's been in something, it's just not been much. And I cannot remember for the life of me. I don't know her name or what she's been in.
But you didn't like IMDb or anything like that?
I looked her up whenever they first announced her, I'm sure, but I don't remember at this point.
Gotcha. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think.
Will she do better than Jennifer Garner?
Well, I think if she's not Greek, she's at least some kind of European.
She's Greek to me.
She's Greek to me. God, Chad.
Yay, drinking.
You're in rare form tonight, man.
The alcohol. This is going to be a permanent fixture on the program.
You drink to be funny, and I drink to deal with you. It's a perfect circle.
Oh, no. I don't drink to be funny. I drink to think I'm funny.
That's actually a very good point. But I'm interested to what extent do we see Elektra? So theoretically, we're going to see her in costume because there was a teaser poster at one point that kind of alluded to that. But also, I don't want them to run into the trap of trying to introduce too much. Like, it was great last season whenever he said, oh, yeah, there was this Greek girl that I, dated in college, and that was pretty much all he said. It's like, oh, I know what he's talking about.
See, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, it's one of those things, if you're not... And granted, I'm not a huge, Daredevil fan. Right. I knew what he's talking about when he said that, but I went to go, look it up online just to also confirm if other people thought the same thing that I did.
No.
Make sure I wasn't reading too much into it, but apparently that was intentional. So, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. The trailer itself, there's a lot of quick shots and everything where it's tough to tell, exactly what's going on other than Punisher's out there, he's killing bad guys. The cops don't like it, and Daredevil doesn't like it.
Cops don't like it when people kill people?
For some reason. Bunch of weirdos. And Daredevil doesn't like it because he's afraid that he's going to end up taking out somebody who doesn't deserve it. So
right. Yeah. I mean, so far, with what they did with the first season, what I've seen from this trailer, I have high hopes that this is going to continue being a great thing. I'll tell you, True Detective, Season 1 was so amazing. Season 2 was such a disappointment.
I didn't even finish watching Season 2.
I did. I made myself get through it because I was like, maybe it'll rally here at the end. It didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't for me, at least. And, I had such high expectations for that. It could be part of the reason why I didn't like it, is my expectations were too high. But Season 1 was so good at that. So it's like sequels. It's like other TV shows where they kind of fall off. From the trailer, it gives me hope. Yep. I have a feeling that this is going to be awesome. It's going to continue with this great trajectory that they have. And that was continued by Jessica Jones.
Yes.
Jessica Jones cemented it for me. Netflix is doing a great job with these properties.
Well, you look at, you've got Netflix involved, but then you also have the Marvel folks as well, because they have, this is their stuff. So it's Kevin Feige, who is in charge of pretty much everything Marvel entertainment related. and then Jeff Loeb, who is their head of TV, who's responsible for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Carter, and now Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and all the other shows that are coming.
There are times when, you remember, like, what is it in the Muppets and the parent talks, and you hear the wah, wah, wah.
That's
wah,
Charlie
wah,
Brown.
Wah. Oh, is it Charlie Brown?
Yeah, dumbass.
I don't know. It's something, and that's what I hear sometimes when you go into this industry shit.
Sorry, man. I like it.
Hey, you know what? The viewers probably appreciate it, so I appreciate it.
Somebody out there likes it, and that's for you.
And you know what? I'm glad that he does that for you, but really, I just like seeing pretty pictures on a screen.
Oh, he's wearing a suit.
Oh, superhero.
Oh, he punched a guy.
Boob. Let's talk
one?
about Daredevil again.
Just one boob?
Yeah, just one boob. It just flopped out. That's actually from Daredevil, a really funny
You
scene.
mean Deadpool?
Yes, whatever. In Deadpool, that really funny scene with Colossus.
That was pretty funny, actually.
What was her name? Was it
Angel.
Angel? Yeah, that was hilarious. Anyway, but we're not talking about Deadpool today. I've actually mentioned it less in this, which was in the MCU, than I did in the DC one we just recorded.
Well, Deadpool is not in the MCU.
Well, but Deadpool is a Marvel property.
Right. But
Anyway, I digress.
Yep.
Anything else we need to talk about with this episode?
No, man. Just, I'm excited. And the frustrating thing is that I have two choices to make when this comes out. One, do I do the right thing and watch it episode by episode with my wife because she loves this stuff and wants to watch it as well, and she's good for about one episode a night? Or do I watch the entire thing in one sitting like I want to?
Here's what you do. You tell your wife you're going to watch it with her every night.
I know where this is going.
And when it drops, you come over here and we watch the whole thing together, baby. Yeah.
That was weird.
That just happened. Anyway, I'm watching it all, and I'm going to spoil the shit out of it if you don't watch
Oh,
it.
God. Okay, well, you forced me.
Listen, babe. Chad made me watch it.
He literally tied me to a chair.
Anyway. All right, man. Well, cool.
You ready to do the social media stuff?
Oh, my God. I'm so ready. Why don't I start with telling them what my Twitter handle is, which is at cbeach512. That's CBEACH 512 at cbeach512. Twitter. That's my thing.
At. How many times can you say at?
At.
At.
How about you? What's your Twitter thing?
I'm at PaceHourW10, PaSOURW10 on Twitter.
And I also stream, do game streaming on Twitch. If you search for CBeach512, you'll find me. Occasionally, I actually stream stuff now that I'm done working on this room.
And sometimes I might be on there with him.
Usually not.
No, whatever. You can find both of us and this show on Twitter at CW Make a Podcast.
And you can also find us now on Facebook. Chad and Wess Make a Podcast now with Facebook. Search for Chad and Wess Make a Podcast on the Facebooks. It should show up. We have a page now.
Yeah. Also Instagram, CW Make a Podcast on there as well.
So that is different. It's CW Make a Podcast, which is also how you'll find us on SoundCloud. CW Make a Podcast on SoundCloud.
That's our Twitter handle, CW Make a Podcast.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
Everything is CW Make a Podcast as far as our Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud.
Okay. But our email is chadandwess@gmail.com.
Yep. Because you can find us at chadandwess.com. If you want one place to go to kind of get everything and find links to everything and see everything in like a timeline view, chadandwess.com is the place to go.
Sweet. Is there anything else? There's Instagram. No,
I already
you already
said
said that.
Yep.
What is there? There's all the
YouTube.
things. YouTube. Why would I forget that? That's different though. That's
We don't know what that is because it's youtube.com/ZRK324.
all of the weird things. But you would search for Chad and Wess Make a Podcast.
Yeah, just search for it on there.
I think if you even search for Chad and Wess, it'll come up. But Chad and Wess Make a Podcast, we should come up on
If you
there.
start from chadandwess.com, you'll find everything.
chadandwess.com, your one-stop shop for everything Chad and Wess related.
Yeah, whatever.
That's the double thumbs up. That just happened.
All right, folks. Thank you very much for joining in, and we'll see you very soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Chad and Wess Watch a Trailer.